right, so it's 4 o'clock, and I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. So Dr. Sal isn't here today, so I told him I'd run us through the agenda. It's pretty short and sweet today. So our, of course, called order at 4 o'clock. Our first item of business is consider approval of minutes from February 26, 2024. Did everybody have a chance to read them? Are there any comments, corrections, anything like that? Do you hear a motion from anybody?
Make a motion.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. We'll move on to receive updates on parks and recreation facilities. I think Joy's got a PowerPoint to show us a few updates.
So we talked last time about our Liberty Hall, and we were able to find out that insurance will be covering $245,000, or
27.
thank you, $27,409, and that the work should be starting by April 1st. So we're hoping this week, but at some point before April 1st. Our upcoming events that we have our corporate challenge. We mentioned this a little bit last time, but we had our meeting this past Friday. We have 14 different companies registered, but of those 14 different companies, we have more than 300 teams in total for the 11 different events that we have. So it's going to be pretty busy.
Tell them how many bowling teams we have.
We have 62 bowling teams.
Wow.
Our local bowling alley is going to love us or hate us. We'll see at the end.
One of the two, for sure.
I don't know if there's going to be an in-between.
And then upcoming other events, we have the Solar Eclipse Watch Party. That one's going to take place at Festival Park. We actually are partnering with the library on this one. And it's going to be 11:30 to 2:30 at Festival Park. There'll be activities for the kids. There'll be some food trucks and some other things. So it'll be kind of a fun event. And that is going to be on April 8th, which is a Monday. Upcoming after that, we have our National Trails Day. That's going to be June 1st. It's always the first Saturday of June. This year, we're going to do something a little bit different, where we're going to do a guided tour, and one of our staff members or liaisons will be doing the guided tour, and we're going to do it on the Schaffner Loop Trail, where they'll be having the people meet, going on a tour, kind of describing different things, plants, animals, things like that, as something like fun to do for National Trails Day, to really check out the different trails. And then we have our annual Running of the Blueberries. That is our 5K, 10K, and 1 mile. And the money that we create from that benefits the dog park. It takes place during Blueberry Festival, which is June 8th this year. And we definitely need volunteers for our pickup or route patrol. So if any of you are interested, or you know anyone who is interested to volunteer, please let me know, and we can get them set up to be a part of that as well. It's a very big event, so any amount of help that we can get, the better.
And the majority of that's like, you know, working a packet pickup booth where you're going to check people in, give them their materials, working a water station. We had a few people last year at some of the mile markers to remind people, like, you're going to keep going this way if you're doing a 10K, if you're doing a shorter route, you know, go the opposite way. So they're pretty easy jobs. So we could definitely use the help, and Joy will be sending out a kind of a sign-up sheet to everybody. So if you want to do a shift, please sign up. If you know anybody, please forward it over to them, because that would be very helpful on our end.
And that's all for recreation updates. Does anyone have any questions before I move on?
Oh, and also on National Trails Day, there's also a partner event with Historic Sites where they do a hike through history event. It's normally a little bit shorter walk. Last year, I believe they walked all near the Zion Hill Cemetery, the Zion Hill Church, through downtown and a few different areas. So that way, if people like to walk around but they don't necessarily want to do a longer hike, they can do more of a local hike, learn about all the history in town, and kind of do that version of it. So we'll have that up as well. We try to market them together so that way people can do both or whichever one suits their needs better. All right, so any questions about that one before we move to our next item? Okay, so our next one's receive updates on parks and recreation activities. I can go through this one. So our Lake Nacogdoches accessible walkway, if y'all been out to Lake Nac for a while, we had a few backhoes and big trucks out there. So we're still kind of in the process of doing our accessible walkway. It goes from that lower parking lot down to the swimming area and then kind of hooks back to our accessible fishing pier. So that way if someone comes and is parking at the ADA parking, they can get either to the fishing dock or to the swimming area. It's not 100% done yet. You'll see some construction fencing down there. We're leaving all that up till that dirt really settles because of course we did all the dirt work and now it's been raining, so it's moving around. So it doesn't look great right now, but we're almost done. We're also going to be adding some beach sand. That will come closer to summer. We don't want to add it right now when the lake levels are so high because we're just going to wash it away. And we're also trying to establish vegetation on that hillside. The only problem is every time our contractors come and seed it, it rains basically the next day. And lately it has been raining very hard and keeps washing the seed away. So if you go out there, it doesn't look great right now, but hopefully in the next month or so, you'll see some vegetation growing out there and we'll start removing some of the fencing, putting our trash cans back in and making it a little bit prettier. So we're pretty excited about that update. Also we just had a contract approved by City Council for our Lake Nacogdoches West restroom rehabilitation. There's 2 restrooms out there. We call them the upper and lower. One is up near the playground and disc golf. The other one's down near the boat ramp. And those, we just had council approve a contract to rehab those 2 restrooms. It's not tearing down the building. They're nice brick buildings. They're just from the 80s and haven't had any big updates really since then. So this will be to put new partitions in there, some new plumbing, make the plumbing more accessible because right now if we have to work on the plumbing, you basically have to rip out a wall. So we're putting in a new plumbing chase and then updating the fixtures. So that should start in the next week or 2. It will take us about 60 days at the most, depending on when we can get all the materials. So that should start pretty soon as well. And then we had a park beautification day. I realized almost all this is at the lake lately. We've been giving Lake Nac West a bunch of love. We had a park beautification day on March 9th. It was very, very cold. And it was very, very windy. So we appreciate, Rod came out and helped us. So we appreciate, all the help for everyone that came out and assisted. We painted some bollards to make them more reflective, picked up trash, power washed the restroom to make it look a little nicer, and did some odds and ends projects. We will not have a park beautification day in April just because we have corporate challenge and we have Joy very, very busy. So we won't have one in April, but we are planning to do one in May. And we're hoping to pick the location here pretty soon. We're either going to do a park or may do a trail cleanup. So we're pretty excited about that, and we'll tell y'all the date. It should be that second Saturday, which would be what? May 11th. So we'll have it May 11th, and we'll let y'all know which location we settle on. So we're pretty excited about that one as well. Also for our last park update on here, Ritchie Street basketball court painting. I know we talked about this early on. We talked to our artist, gave him some initial feedback. It's the same artist that's done the other 2 basketball court paintings, and he gave us our first 2 drafts and wanted to get y'all's feedback on them. If you like the colors, want a different design, just kind of some feedback because in our contract with him, I believe we get at least 2, maybe 3 edits to this. And so we want to make sure it's something that we all like, that the parks department can actually maintain afterwards, because if you have some very intricate painting that we have to maintain once a year, that's a little bit harder because our parks guys are great parks guys, but maybe not professional artists. I'm sure you could do it though, Tom. And so we have, Joy, you want to flip to the next slide? So these are the first 2 drafts that Tyson gave us, and basically said wanted feedback from y'all on the likes, dislikes, different colors, anything like that, but wanted to make sure this was something that meets our maintenance needs, stays, as far as longevity. And we've also seen results here in town and really nationally that if we do some sort of public art like this, we really don't have any vandalism, which has been wonderful because it tends to be if you have art like this, Other people that are gonna vandalize it or tag it tend to not do it because they respect other artists. And we've seen this over at Pioneer and Festival, that we've painted both of those courts and neither one have had any vandalism. I also talked to Tyson that whenever our install date and painting date is for this, he's gonna bring over some school kids to help paint. We'd love for y'all to come help. He really likes to make it a big community event. So I'd be happy to hear any feedback y'all have on either one of these designs.
Right or left?
Over on this left,
One over Jessica.
I'll Vanna White it this week.
I think I might have to agree with you.
Me too.
I kinda like it. Between the
Yeah.
two.
The one on the right above Joy, I think it's super cool, but I also feel like it's very like 3D and kind of trippy.
It's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I know, a little, and for me personally, I like the design on the left, but the colors on the
Colors.
right.
I like the colors on the left.
Okay.
The colors on the left are just like. yeah.
Right.
They really pop, yeah.
I need to quit looking at them, cause now I like the one on the right.
I think the one on the right's super cool. I'm just worried that if you're playing basketball and it looks kind of 3D, they gotta trip over their own feet. But I think they're pretty neat. So any other feedback? So far I'm here, we will like the one on the left.
I'm to the left.
Okay.
It's just more vibrant.
Mm-hmm. It's a cool shape too.
The right,
Yeah, it's
the
shades
right
of
seems a
green.
little too much.
Yeah.
And well, to the right looks like it's already sun faded.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and Tommy mentioned the one on the left that's a little bit more rounded would be a little bit easier for us to maintain.
Not such sharp lines. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole. Should we do
Yep.
school colors like dragon colors or SFA colors? Or should we just go with what they did and the orange, throw some school spirit in there?
So I mean, that's up to y'all to recommend that. We haven't done that in the past, just to make sure there was no rivalries as far as with NISD, because,
I forget that we're on the countywide.
yes.
All right.
So we wanna make sure we're not necessarily endorsing someone over another, and at the same time, there's also been, you know, if it's all Nacogdoches ISD colors, if someone from Lufkin or a different school comes to town, they could tag it just to make a school thing of it.
Good, thank you.
So far, one on the left, we like the vibrant colors, easier to maintain. Awesome. Well, I can go back to Tyson and let him know that, and, one of the things we've done with the other ones is that we have the black border around it, and if any, businesses contribute to this, we'll put their logo on it. We've had the kiddos come out and put like some handprints and stuff like that. The school that's right over near, Ritchie Street Park, he does want it, he's talked to a few of the teachers over there. And as they're painting it, the kids are gonna come out and help paint. And we'll have a couple weeks' notice, because we schedule all this with Tyson. And we'll send y'all the date when the painting's gonna happen, and we'd love to have y'all come out and either help, see the kids. We always tell the newspaper and have a bunch of photos taken. And it really is a fun community day. So if y'all are good with that, I will tell Tyson that we're good with option one and see if he needs to tinker any more with it. Because he also kind of helps us look at what paint colors are readily available. We don't get anything that's like too specialty mixed that we can't get again. So we'll talk to him about that, and then we'll move forward. Awesome. Any other thoughts on any of either this or the updates I gave before that? Okay, so our next item is discuss future goals and vision of Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. So this is the item if we have anything that y'all want us to add to the next agenda, any topics, anything you want us to discuss, we can add that to the next one.
I missed 2 meetings, and I apologize for that, but I don't understand the LED. Are we doing that, or what happened to that discussion?
That, as far as changing out the lights and things
Yes.
like that?
Uh-huh.
Yes, so we've looked at some of those, and now that we're in the process of, in our budget season right now, so with the city, we do everything basically on our fiscal calendar. So we've started pulling together some numbers of how many light fixtures and light bulbs are in each complex, park, sports complex, which is a lot. So we're looking at pulling those together and then figuring out what it would cost to switch those out and if there's cost savings. Some of that has been a little hung up in the fact that Encore, who's our main provider, our, staff liaison with that is our finance department, who has had a lot of changeover, as far as staffing. So they were having to get access to our Encore accounts, figure out who our rep is before they can get us all the usages, so we're waiting on that right now.
I see.
And so now that it's part of our budget season, we'll see what the cost is on that and if we can propose changing those out, whether it's all in one swoop or if it's complex by complex or park by park. So we're working through that right now. We just don't have finalized numbers because we've been waiting on a few different people to get us information. And and we can add that as a further discussion point at our next meeting.
That sounds good.
Is there, for next time, is there anything, something, even if it's just more signs we can do between the softball complex and including inside where the field, the soccer field, the trail, and Pecan Park are becoming let your dog go loose dog parks.
Okay.
And it's just really kind of like, oh, and Moroni, there's a guy at Moroni that has 3 big dogs that he shows up every day and lets them run loose. And it's like, this is nuts. And it's like, well, you know, my dog won't do anything, and it's like, how do you know that? It's a dog.
Yeah, and we
But
can
it's
definitely.
getting really bad.
Are you saying there's dogs on the trail
There's people that bring their dogs
without?
for their walk without leashes.
Right, and we do have that law here.
We
Do have the
but it
confinement
doesn't
of
seem
dogs,
to,
so.
and it's like, I often wonder, but I'm at the soccer field every day, and it's like, I wonder how many times that these poor kids are playing soccer and they run through a pile of poop. Because the
Well, that
dog
has
keeps
hap-
running,
that has happened to
and
me
there's,
too.
I mean, there's no way that these people are picking up.
You know, the craziest thing is being out at the soccer fields late at night and the gentleman will bring, he's training dogs and he'll bring a herd of 12 to twins and have them run around out there. It's interesting. to see
White
that.
dogs.
I did not.
It's been a long time since I've seen him. I haven't seen him in several years, but I'm not out there as much at night anymore.
Yeah, we can definitely do an item about park signage, because that's something we've talked about as a staff, because we did have recommended by our Texas Municipal League rep that we need to put stuff on there like play at your own risk, things like that. So we are looking at doing park signage updates, so we can definitely discuss that more at the next meeting. Is there anything else we'd like to add to our next agenda?
Do we have any update on TCEQ and fixing the bridge on the trail? The bridge with the,
A little bit.
yeah.
So not from TCEQ, we're doing a budget request to our city manager, and city council to try to do all the permits. Because right now, you know, with that flood happening, that wasn't exactly a budgeted expense. So we're working on that right now, to get through with the state. So if they approve us working on it, then we can do another budget request or try to find a grant to actually do the construction of it. So, yes, an update, but not a finalized anything yet. Anything else for our next agenda?
Well, since we were bringing up the topic of the dogs, several months ago, I was working on locations for dog parks. But unfortunately, I've been super busy with soccer and my own children. I haven't been able to make the meetings to be able to present that to everyone. But I do have some ideas that I've been working on back in my spare time to present to y'all of possible locations for that. And it's all this existing property that's owned by the city that's just been kind of forgotten about. I pulled up the map and searched through it and then went and looked at the locations. So I don't know how's the best way to go about that, letting everybody know those ideas that I've.
Yeah, and we can put that on the next agenda if you want to present it, if that works.
I don't know what my schedule will be next time.
Well, we can work with you on a schedule and see when that'll work for you.
Or maybe I can just present it to you and then maybe you could take over for me.
Sure, we can do that. All right, anything else for our next item, or for our next meeting in April?
April 22nd.
All right, well, if we don't have anything else, I think this might be our shortest Parks Board meeting ever. So if we don't have anything else, I will adjourn the meeting at 4:20.
I have a Tommy question.
Oh.
Oh, Lord.